Well, hello there, everybody. How you doing? If you'll be my Dixie chicken, I'll be your Tennessee man. I tell you, I love that group. Saw them back in the day and still enjoy them. Hey, favor to everybody. Glad to see everyone's here that can have power and what have you. Hello, New Zealand. Way to go. Far out. Y'all are in summertime, and guys, I know you're down in the golden country of Australia. So, greetings. We're all around the world doing a little time traveling. So, you see, setting the scenery back. That's exactly how I see where my state of mind. So, when you cross over, this will be kind of like the beach. Just look for this and stop in, have a free drink, no charge. So anyway, 6 a.m. in Melbourne. Wow, that's dedication. But for me, I've already been up for 2 hours, so that would be cool. Yeah. Hey, boots on the ground. What's up? Man, how many people in here? Hello, Lois. How are you doing, dear? David Castle, how are you doing? Pamela, Isby, Sarah. So good to see you, my love. Greetings. Speaking of that, Bosto, favor to everybody. You know, these are actually thought forms. I mean, we get attached to them. Trina has the one that she has as a child. I got one that's not quite that old, but yeah. So big hug, everybody. Um, so also, I thought what I would do as well is, as you can see here, now kids, never play with fire at home, right? But let's just do a little smudging. We'll do a virtual smudging for everybody. We just throw out all the negative energy. There we go. And we just replace it with the cleansing positivity of renewal of life. So there you go. Now, the question is, can you put it out? It'll be burning over here for the next hour. So a lot of glitches in the system. Today, I have seen more glitches, and I mean glitches. Just seems like, hey, NC said in Cat B from Colorado. Well, hello, neighbor. How you doing? Good to see you. Hey, Hope, what's up? Good to see you as well. Nina the Mystic. All right. We'll just let that do its thing. And I have she's no longer here, but we had this was given to me a number of years ago from Sherry. And this is powerful. I use it for cleansing, and it works. So there. Um, Let me get that over there. Is it going? Okay. As he inhales the smoke, yeah, I put a little bit. No, it's just all sage and rose petals and something else. Hey, Robert V, how you doing, buddy? Been thinking about you. Hey, Chloe, good to see you as well. Boots on the ground. So, man, about to pour some of my tea on my smudge stick there. Because it's still smudging, as they would say. Okay. Where am I? Oh, tonight. Steiger perspective. Yeah. Artistfirst.com, 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. here in the Mountain Time Zone. Check it out. We're going to be talking about some stuff. Actually, it's going to be really good. Check it out. I actually write those out. Sorry, I know what I'm going to say. So that means I'm projecting into the future. Exactly. I am. And it works every time. So this whole thing with the weather, timely subject, isn't it? Everybody loves to talk about the weather. I mean, if you don't know someone, you can walk up to them and say, how about the weather? And they're likely to reply, yeah, give it about 10 minutes and it'll change. It's amazing. I've lived in a lot of different places over the country, and that saying seems to be pretty much the same everywhere. Give me a second, folks. This thing is like, wow, I could have full-time protection on this one. Jeez. Enough now. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hey, AK, Morning Star, what are you doing? What's up? Scalar waves, Carol. Yes, I happen to think that that may in fact be true. As he goes over here to douse this one more time. Man, I tell you, and I've had those incidences where I've done a cleansing and it's like you could never get the stick to burn. It's like you get a blowtorch, and it still won't do it. But this one here, I mean, positive vibes are everywhere. So wait till you start seeing the electric bills, folks. Many of you already are seeing them. You folks in Texas, get ready. I am sure and hopefully that your governor will do something, because the common bill is going to be $10,000. That's what they're projecting. The average cost of a normal megawatt, Texas is on its own grid. It's separated from everybody else. Why? Well, there's a lot of reasons why. But in any case, so the average megawatt is about $23. Now, we get billed on kilowatts. So just do the math. You can see that the average kilowatt would be roughly about $2. But the price now for a megawatt yesterday peaked out at $8,800. And we'll be talking more about this tonight. If you look at that, folks, that means your average bill is going to be, yeah, you can see you're paying about $900 a kilowatt. I don't know who can afford that. I couldn't. Hey, Marsha, what's up? Good to see you. Hey, Paul Joe, good to see you. Alien Believers, hello. It's true. I want to address something else, and I mean in all respect to this. This is meaning no disrespect. But I've had a couple people who've sent me videos from another channel who is purported, and I'll just say what they say, of plasma dancing on buildings. I have addressed this once, but I want to address this one more time. Folks, we're pretty intelligent in this room. So how many of you know what the core temperature of plasma is? Anybody want to take a guess? Well, I'll tell you, it's 11,000 to 14,500 degrees. Now, just question in your mind, how could plasma touch anything without there being a catastrophic explosion, reaction? I've said this before, what you're seeing is from a CCD camera, that you have the back optics of a camera that has several different lenses, and moisture gets in there. I know, I was in the video industry for nearly 20 years. You wreck an SP Betacam back in the day, that was like a $5,000 job back then. And what happens is that moisture forms on these lenses, and the camera is trying to adjust to the nearest point that it can focus in on. And it's always nighttime. If you show me the same thing in daytime, you would see it even better. And folks, it can't be plasma. I'm just telling you. At the minimum, 11,000 degrees. Wow. Yeah, I mean, people, it's no science. That's what I'm trying to say. There's no science here. And we just have to use, well, I don't know about conscious plasma, Gary. I can't measure that in a lab, but we can measure plasma. We know, it's a fifth element. So, yeah. And I'm just saying, whew, Now I'm like being overcome by the sage. It's like, hello. I'm like out in the middle of the yeah, I have to get the fan blowing on that one. Thank you, Lois. So anyway, there we go. You know, it's easily sometimes to get excited about when you see something, but then again, you just have to say, well, all right, it can't be that. Not saying it couldn't be something else. But the most common, you have to eliminate all the possible variables, right? Otherwise, you're very gullible. And none of us want to be gullible. I mean, I don't. That's why I do these shows. I enjoy it so much. And plus that, y'all are a pretty groovy bunch of people. I mean, I can't wait to the day when we can actually teleport ourselves and yeah, sit around and enjoy our favorite libation, whatever that may be. But anyway, hey, Robert, how cold has it been, buddy? I've heard that they've kept you busier than a one-armed bandit. Uh, yeah, mind light wave. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, yeah. It's, listen, it's, we love it. We love it. We all been there. That's why we go watch movies. The movie becomes real up here, even though we know that cars don't necessarily explode. People don't fly up in the air with a cape. And why are all these superheroes? Why do they always have a cape? I mean, I would think that the cape would be a nuisance. If I'm a superhero, why would I want coefficient drag? That's what a cape would do, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm being too logical. But when we get in the movie theater, all that goes out. We say, hell yeah. Of course the dude can fly. And of course you can stand up in the middle of space and, that's really what death really offers. You think about it. Here we go to save the day. We're up flying, baby. I mean, to me, I think if you were to do a poll, what would be the number one thing you look forward to after you die? Now, you're not dead, but you're going to experience the transition. So what would that be? What would be the very first thing on your list? I got the chat room here, so it's a full group in here. So chat room, I know we're on about a 30-second delay. So I ask you, what would be the first thing you are going to do when you die, when you do the transition? I just want to see what people have to say because it's interesting. I don't think the cape would be aerodynamic. Exactly, Jenny. Jenny will be on tomorrow along with Amber and Nina and hopefully Steve. Yes, nice bet. Yep. Morning Star. This is the beach. You can go. So seriously, what would y'all do? Yeah, I know it does have the effect. So what would be the first thing you would do once you die? When you're going to be cognitively aware, you're going to be disorientated, but that's natural. Go off this planet, Hard to Truth Hall says. Okay. Become a quantum being, interact. That's interesting. Gary says relax. Look for a hole in the firmament. Ah, cool. All right. Find my animals. Stork Delivery says, good. I haven't seen you before. Hello. What does everyone else say? Go far away from Earth and the field around it. Yeah, right there with you, darling, on that one. Ed says, going out to see the universe. Yep. Yeah, I would say that one, but I'm going to go to the beach first. Spy and haunt my kids. Nina, I love it. That's the way to do it. Yeah, I mean, you got to have a plan ready. Dragon Soul Fox says, go back to being a dragon. Cool. You're always welcome. Just come on to the beach. Look for my sister, Balanka says. Cool. See the aliens, Robert V says. They're already there, Robert. Tanya, I didn't get to see that one. It went by pretty quick, but it's an interesting question. I mean, it's all going to happen to us. So the way I look at it is, well, if you fully prepare for it, then you can really have a good time here, even in the crappiest of world circumstances. I mean, the world can just be going to the old expression, hell in a handbasket. That's an interesting colloquialism, isn't it? Everything is going to hell in a handbasket. It's interesting. Anyway, I digress. But you can still have that perpetual joy, the smile. I mean, granted, the energy fluctuations, my wife said, she said, there was a couple of days this week, because the weeks are going like the days, boom, boom, boom. But particularly Monday and Tuesday, and then it finally evaded on Wednesday. But she could see it in me. She's not quite emphatic, but then again, her profession has taught her that there's two things about life. We're born and people die. And in between, people get sick and people, mend and recover. Yeah. So, yeah. See, I like that, Brandy. I like that. Let's create now. I'm right there, right there. I think there's a lot that we don't understand about our bodies. These are fabulous, fabulous pieces of engineering. I mean, I marvel at my body. It's just, it's so. I learn more about my body. I mean, I've been in it a while, but it still has things to teach me. And I contend that I'm going to take my body with me. Now, I may leave some of the physical matter left behind here, and the way that I see things, and this is just my uh, beliefs, that um, I will be cremated. It's something about the idea of sticking me, even though my spirit essence won't be in it. It's still me. There's an essence of what I was. My DNA is still there. They could harvest that and create a clone of me. Why, I don't know, but anyway, they could. So my perspective is this: the only way I see being released from this realm is through cremation. It's a natural process of the natural laws of physics. And the creator of all things, who invented physics, at least for this realm, it would apply. So after years, decades and decades, that's where I'm going. Lynn's going to be doing the same thing. And, and the way I look at it, they say, I don't know, they say that we stay around until everyone has said their goodbyes. Now, I don't know how true that is or not. I don't know. But I have a sense that I've heard this, that many people do stay to see their own funerals. Remember, it's called fun for real. The fun real. Oh, funeral. Yeah, get it? And because you're in the fun realm now, you're looking back at all the rest of the suckers still stuck here. And, anyway, True Divine says, burn me on the sea and feed me to the fishes. Well, Jenny, you and I and Lynn and the rest of us will just have it. I mean, that's how I'm going to do it. To me, it seems like a release, and it's in my DNA. My ancestors have done that, particularly the strong side of my DNA, which is much more Northern European in it. Lucky Stone says, absolute cremation. Do not leave anything. Any memorial marker could be an arker. Yeah, ain't that the truth, Lucky? Absolutely. Uh-huh. What fun reel. uh Wayne's World. Well, Garth is back there. He's carrying on. I think it's because they serve the dark Sith, Nina. It's just a fact. I mean, and listen, um, when you think about, we ought to do a show on this. So if anyone would want to come on and discuss these cultures and where we get this, I mean, The burying in the ground thing, it's, because it has to go with this whole thing. Now think about this. Dust to dust, right? Okay, well, wait a minute. That word, as I understand it, there is another translation for ash. So from ash to ash. I don't see that happening when they're, embalming your body. Now, your body is eventually going to break down anyway. And what a con game. So, you think about this con game. I know I was in my past, I was board certified in the state of Texas, of all places. I could sell you burial insurance, and you really get to know the industry. And here's an interesting thing. I know this is completely off topic, but who cares? So in the fun reel business, there's two families that primarily dominate that industry. And it's the biggest con that's ever there, because if you think about state laws, now it varies from state to state, but in many state laws now, there is a process in which you have to be buried. Yeah, like, so it's the opposite. Go figure. There you go, Nina. It is. It is. Um, so have you ever sat in a casket? Well, unless you were actually working for a funeral home, you probably haven't, but I have. I've tried them all out. They all suck. This thing about putting the cushion on the head of the deceased, well, that's just another expense. And then you want it to be hermetically sealed. Why? I mean, what are we saving ourselves for? And all the time, the cash register going ching, 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 ching. And so you got yourself a plot of land that's cost you ching, 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 ching. Well, in order to be buried properly in there, it has to be in a vault, ching, 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 ching. And then, of all things, that casket is eventually going to leak. It's just the way things are. And when I studied this, you're a disgusting mess for about, depending on how they did your body, for about 2 to 3 years. I mean, a disgusting mess. I mean, seriously, if you're a spirit, you're going, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It depends on what your point of view is. You're going, people are coming to my grave, and yeah, yeah. And then it's the classic Vincent Price horror. You're buried alive. Reports of that have happened here recently. I think it was down in Venezuela. They buried a person they thought was dead, and they could hear, people for a day or two could hear muffled screams. Yeah. And then the scream stopped. And they kind of figured that, well, maybe we ought to check that out. And of course, when they pulled the casket up, yeah. Uh, uh, I know, fun subject, isn't it? But hey, listen, it's reality. I mean, eventually, it's going to happen. So, you got to look on the light side of things. I mean, quit taking things so serious. So that's why I am going for the cremation point of view. Um, ain't nothing going to be left of this beautiful, gorgeous, fine-looking spirit being. I mean, honey, I am of the finest of the finest. And, when I make the transition, hon, it's going to be a whole new suit of clothes. That's all I got to say. Uh, uh, soul to the stars. Amy, you're right. Marsha said, I used to perform autopsies. Oh, yes, there you go. Marsha, got to get you on, hon. Let's get on. Let's talk about this. I mean, this is the thing that all the horror movies are made about, right? Well, it's always about the dead bodies. And doesn't it freak people out? Listen, my wife has told me some really funny stories because, what she does, there's people die. And they have the assistants that are in there. Now, some of these people, have some pretty strong beliefs. Like you, she was telling me a story of two people in particularly that a person had passed over, made the transition, and they had to go in and, wait for the funeral home coroner to come. There's just some people who won't go in a room with a dead body. Like, ain't gonna do it. Not now, not ever. They may be seeing my dead body, but I ain't going in there. I mean, and it really freaks them out. They will not do it. And you have to respect their beliefs, but because they turn as white as ghost. It's like, One said, I don't know if that person is still in there. Now, of course, they've been ceased, but it is. Anyway, little off topic, but it's been fun. Hey, it's a Thursday. What are you going to do? Skyheart says, I'll be back in my light body. Yep. Yep. So there we go. How many of you are superstitious in that area? Are you afraid to be around a dead body? I mean, does it give you the heebie-jeebies? You'd be surprised. Let's see. Carol says, my brother was cremated, and my sister-in-law kept him for a day after. Huh. Interesting. My ashes, as I've told the person who will be responsible for that, is to scatter them in the air. Find the biggest peak in Colorado and just let me fly. And then I hear the song John Denver, I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away. Anyway, so all right, so let's continue on. No more meat suit. That is a fact. Interesting. Cannot enter a hospice building. Yeah. Can't stand the overwhelming presence of death. Yep. Yep. Death is a spirit, and if death is alive, then that is validation that there is life after death. Because if death is a spirit, then a spirit can only be alive. It may have the content or the perception of death, but it's actually a conduit. And we've been taught wrong about death. Now, I know this is nothing about weather wars, but it is a fact. We've been taught wrong about death. Death is not something to be shunned. It's not something to be feared. Death, in fact, in some cultures, you become friends with death. Why? Because it's going to be there for you. It is the transition zone. It's alive. It's active. It's kind of just looking like you're going through a clean room, but reversing the polarity of your existence to be prepared to able to be in the next one to come. Interesting. Saw that is interesting. Yeah. Been 4 years. Well, they ought to let her go. That's what I have to say. Erotic Blair says, let the dead bury the dead. It would stink. That's all I got to say. But, again, we Western culture, Western theology, philosophy is so regressed. I mean, we may think we're technologically advanced, but spiritually, we are the most regressed of what man has ever been. I believe today the condition of the vast majority of Homo sapiens are that they are spiritually regressed to where they have absolutely no influence from the spirit within. They're dead to it. That's just my opinion. Be wrong, but hey, let's see. Sunday school made me afraid to burn. Cremation, not anymore. Yeah, isn't that odd how they teach you that? Yeah. But then again, so to finish the thought out on the cost of an average burial can be 10, 15,000 more. where a good cremation will cost you about $750. If natural gas keeps going up, maybe more than that. But I mean, hey, listen, isn't, and it says something to me merely from a visionary, a philosopher. That's what I am. Because it costs you to be born in this day and age, unless you're using a midwife, home birth, but there's still expense involved in there. But if you go through the normal initiation of a hospital, it costs for you to be born. And then it costs for you to get your sorry ass out. Seriously. I mean, it's a racket. This realm is a funky realm. I mean, and what I mean by funky is that it's kind of like going into the theater. They've put new seats and everything else, but what they did not do was clean and change the floor. So here you come in. Man, it feels good. You sit down, and then your feet get stuck to the spilled Coke and the candy, and you get this tacky thing as you pick up your feet. You know what I'm talking about. That's kind of what this funky realm is all about. It feels good in here, but man, it is funky in many different ways. And so there you go. Interesting, Elderberry. Interesting. Yeah, the synchronizations in this group, off the chart, off the chart. Uh, uh, Marsha's giving us a weather report. She says it's effing cold and effing, and I'm using that word, Marsha, miserable. Yeah, it is. So, hey, I found this website, and let me pull it up. There we go. And it's actually a pretty cool website. I'll make sure to leave a link. But it's weathermodificationhistory.com. And this guy has really put some work into this. And he has built out, as you can see in his models, the all the different aspects of what we're reading. And we'll get into the topic now. But I have to say, that was a fun first half hour. I thoroughly enjoyed that. That's what good conversation will do. And the smudging is worked. I mean, the energy is really positive. It's high energy. So it's so cool because if you look at this stratospheric controlled perturbation experiment, the Stratocruiser, this took place in the spring of 2019. Did y'all know that? I didn't know that. October 2018, Hands Off Mother Earth Manifesto, a permanent ban on geoengineering. That's what we're in right now. And you can see, you just go through, and he has article after article. You can become an SME in this, subject matter expert. Eastern Pacific emitted aerosol cloud experiment. Yeah, this is what Bill Gates is all behind. MIT, military. Beware of the 5G. Ho, 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 ho. This is Pfizer. Bill Gates funds geoengineering research. Yeah, Pfizer. Pfizer. I could come up with something. And look at all the legislation. Weather Modification Research and Technology Transfer Authorization Act. Didn't get passed. I bet you because it put restrictions. Same thing here on House Bill 517. Weather modification research, critical issues in weather research, October 2003, going back to 2000, 20 years ago. Oh, here we go, back to 1997, and you can see how far it goes back. Our paper that we're going to be going through is in here. Article after article. This guy has done a wonderful, fantastic job. Oh, I can still smell that sage, and it's got my sinuses. But here is June 1965. Project High Altitude Research Program, HARP. Cannons launch chemical payloads into space. Going back to Kennedy, President Kennedy, United Nations address on weather modification. Folks, this is not nothing new. The technology is so far ahead of where the modern, the average person thinks about. I almost contend virtually, this may sound arrogant, but I think that they do, in fact, can control air currents. I think they control the jet stream. They can put where they want to make it very wet, which is happening right now, of all places, in Yemen. That whole area that used to, the Chinese own it, by the way, but it's now, it's becoming a tropical forest. It's huge cherry. So it goes back, it continues, go back to the 1950s, going back to the 1900s. Folks, 1841. So if you just look at mankind, and if you go back to, let's say, the late 1700s, 1800s, we've been trying to figure this out for a long, long time. How about this? Stalin, the great plan for the transformation of nature. When we play God, and I know I said that we are individually God, but listen, I don't know many gods that have control of their own universe themselves. And when man begins to try to project out to something he doesn't understand, man doesn't understand this earth, man doesn't understand weather, man understands very little. And when we go and start trying to play God, things don't work out. So anyway, great website. Check it out for yourself. It's well worth it because it's right in tune with what, we're reading about in this document, weather modification. And, to me, I don't find this to be that hard to accept. I love reading in the chat room. That's what I'm doing right now. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing? Let's see. Cool. All right. So, as we continue on, I say there, chap. So, the article where we left off yesterday, again, if you want these, they're on PDF and there's websites out there that actually do them all. So, Marsha hasn't, I think Marshall, just go to globalresearch.ca. You'll find these documents. Back here in 2004, I said North America was suffering the seventh year of conspicuous and dangerous aerosol and electromagnetic operations conducted by the U.S. government under the guise of national security. Concerned citizens watch in fear as military tankers discolor the skies with toxic chemicals that morph into synthetic clouds. Listen, I remember back in, because I documented it, there was an early part of the 2010s. And I really am thinking, particularly in 2015, 16, it was horrendous. We all remember the skies. I don't remember a day, and because I was recording it, where there wasn't this milky tint to the sky. They went on to say we continued witnessing bizarre meteorological occurrences as powerful electromagnetic devices manipulated both the jet stream and individual storm fronts to create artificial weather and climatic conditions. To me, I mean, the United States is not what we think it is. It is the real government is the industrial military complex. And I don't know if these people are actually human. I contend they're not. But yeah, I mean, if you've got a flying saucer, so what the freak are you going to do with it? Just go out joyriding? No, if you got that kind of technology, if you can actually travel between planets, that's one thing. If you can travel within a galaxy, now that is really something. And if you've got that kind of ability, so what are you doing? I mean, really, what are you doing here? I mean, I can't think of one positive thing of why they would be here. I can think of a lot of nefarious things. Terraforming the planet would be one. It appears our planet has, in fact, and is right now being terraformed by something. So controlling weather, because if you think about it, you begin to have large density population centers. So what happens if you begin to control the weather, and let's say you make it to where you don't want those people there anymore? What you want are those people over there. Well, how do you do that? Economically, yeah, possibly. But I'll guarantee you this, if you change the weather patterns, within 10 years, you could make what was once a very lush, bountiful water. Humans have to have water, and cut that off. Humans will do what they instinctively have always done. We're nomadic. We will move on. It goes on to say black operations projects embedded in with these aerosol missions are documented to sicken and disoriented select populations with biological test agents and psychotronic mind and mood control techniques. Wow. It talks about the Air Force Space Command. It says here, Air Force Secretary James E. Roche, retired, space capabilities are integrated with and affect every link in the kill chain. When I hear someone in the military talk about the kill chain, I just get this feeling inside that's not good for humanity. Yeah, that's all right, buddy. We got you going. We saw some of those pieces of legislation. It says legislation, excuse me, that failed. I remember Kucinich. Remember back in his day, he actually tried to get a bill called the Space Preservation Act of 2001. Now, he was called a nut job. The guy was really very aware and awake. In this act, it would prohibit a ban on electronic, psychotronic, and information weaponry, high altitude, ultra low frequency weapons, plasma, we were just talking about that, electromagnetic, sonic, and ultrasonic weapons. I'm going to do a show next week on a phenomenon associated with Bigfoot. And it's amazing what it does to humans. But isn't this interesting? So you have plasma, and if you have plasma, you're going to have electromagnetic fields. I mean, that's just, it's again, someone just doesn't understand plasma. And there is cold plasma. But anyway, Kucinich's bill would have banned laser weapons. I mean, this is the big area right now. We're seeing evidence of these laser weapons being tested. Strategic, theater, tactical, and extraterrestrial weapons. Now, isn't it odd that a former congressman, and actually he ran for the presidency, that he would put in a bill in a section on a ban of extraterrestrial weapons? I can only imagine. And if an extraterrestrial has a weapon, a beam weapon, or something in that the photon area, well, imagine what you could do to an atmosphere. Here, the whole thing about HAARP is that they're beaming up microwaves, right? Heating select parts of the ionosphere. But imagine if you were sitting on top doing that, and you had something a whole lot more powerful. Goes on to say chemical, biological, environmental, climate, and tectonic weapons. Oh man, you could spend a week on this alone. We certainly know what the biological weapons are like. Environmental, climate weapons. Tectonic weapon, I don't like that one at all. I mean, you go start screwing around with the Earth's mantle. Are you an idiot? Yes, we are. Chemtrails. Thus, this item was stricken from a later version suggesting duress. Now, let me ask you something. So you're sending this to committee, right? This is how it works. They don't have any problem with extraterrestrial weapons. They don't have any problem with tectonic weapons, but we got to take out those chemtrails now. Well, sure. Why not? Makes perfect sense, you know? We don't want to give them any kind of false information. Well, all right, but tell me about the extraterrestrial weapons. What the hell is that? It says in their quest to remain top dog in the kill chain, again, the purveyors or perpetual war have deliberately dimmed Earth's life-giving sunlight and reduced atmospheric visibility with lung-clogging particulates and polymers. This ecological terrorism has severely compromised public health, according to thousands of testimonies. Magellan disease. Years of mass appeals to legislators, media, military officials for information and for cessation of catastrophic atmosphere degradation have fallen on deaf bureaucratic ears. Well, there's no money in that. Public awareness of what befalls us remains as murky as our skies because those in the know are muzzled by national security laws. And Americans have no authority to change matters of national security. Well, that just sucks. It talks about a project, and when you get the documents on this, holy crap! It says at least part of the aerosol project has been dubbed Operation Cloverleaf. They spent a lot of money in that one, probably due to its multifaceted operations, which include weather modification, military communications, space weapon development, ozone and global warming research, plus biological weapons and detection testing. Dumping tons of particulate matter from aircraft has geoengineered our planetary atmosphere. Now, get this, folks. I find this one very, how shall we say, tantalizing. Has geoengineered our planetary atmosphere into a highly charged, electrically conductive plasma useful for military projects. See, we're talking about plasma, and it's not that the person I think that was seeing that, but the fact is that there is real substance to the science. We're finding out amazing things about plasma. But listen, if they've been putting ball up into the atmosphere, that is highly conducive to electric static charge, electromagnetic. And this is where ball comes in. The air we breathe is laden with asbestos-sized synthetic fibers and toxic materials, including barium, salts, aluminum, there's ball, and reportedly radioactive thorium. These materials act as electrolytes to enhance conductivity of military radar and radio waves. Poisonous on par with arsenic and a proven suppressant of the human immune system. Wow. Atmospheric barium weakens human muscles, including those of the heart. Inhaled aluminum goes directly to the brain, and medical specialists confirm that it causes oxidative stress within the brain tissue, leading to formation of Alzheimer's like neurofibrillary tangles. Radioactive thorium is known to cause leukemia and other cancers. It goes on, and because I want to get on to other parts of this, how when you have a military that receives nearly $1 trillion a year in funding, where do you think all that money goes? That's a lot of money. Well, it goes into places like DARPA. As an entrepreneur who used to be on the, when you look for venture capital funding, DARPA is in fact the venture capital arm of the Pentagon. DARPA is, it's interesting because it's a kind of a passion, robots, but I'm talking about the type that are used in, well, let's say non-peaceful ways. And if you watch the development of where robotics are moving towards, they're becoming very lifelike. And there is a show that's on called BattleBots. And it's quite interesting. I watch it because I tape it and I watch it when it's in my schedule, because I want to see what the technology they're using. And the thing about my whole point of this, DARPA is in there. In fact, a lot of those young, brilliant engineers will most likely be working for the Pentagon very quickly, or one of the Pentagon funded venture capital firms in Silicon Valley. And right here, it says it has private defense contractors and pharmaceutical companies are heavily involved. You know, it makes sense for pharmaceutical companies to be involved in this. Why? Because if you know the causation of the effect, you would have, let's say, exclusivity to the solution to correct. That's very profitable. Very profitable. He goes on talking about, you know, what we see in the skies. Many times, I think what people are catching on a lot of these magnetic anomalies, I'm convinced that our atmosphere has changed. I think they knew it. Reagan was informed in 1987, and he asked specifically, and I know this to be true because I asked a person who was in that room, and they told him basically something was coming from the earth. They projected it about 100 years out. And Ronald Reagan was quoted to saying, "Can we save them all?" And the answer is no. So if that is true, then you can look at the craziness of today. I mean, people are just nuts. There was at one time when, you know, commercial flying was still, you know, available where, you know, you didn't have everything else. But I had a lot of people, and I actually caught some of commercial jets that were enhancing their fuel for chemtrailing. This Operation Cloverleaf was all about particles and polymers saturating the air. And the interesting and alarming thing about this is at 10 microns. Now, to have a mask, you'd have to have an N95, and I don't mean the dust one, I mean the one that are custom fit to keep the microns out. Those masks, I think, are designed, Marsha, I'm right on this, and I think it's 5 microns, and which the viruses many times are in the 10 micron range. And he goes on and says how this comes in, how we begin to, once we breathe it in, the body begins to break it apart, and it begins to literally consume it. And then it gets passed on in the energy flow that our scientists still don't understand about our bodies. But anyway, folks, this is, like I said, it's a great read. This is my marked up coffee because there were so many things in here alone. I can't cover it all in the time that we have because I was having too much fun in the first part. But if you want it, ask for it. Marsha can put a link in there. If she, you can get this document. And we haven't even had time to talk about the Air Force document. And now this is the one that gets to be, why would we want to mess with weather? What do we mean by weather modification? It's always interesting to read what the military thinks. This is, remember the GWN network? Here it is, the Global Weather Network, applying weather modification to military operations, concept of operations, precipitation, fog, storms, exploration of near space for space control, opportunities afforded by space weather modification, artificial weather, they really covered the whole network here. And it's, again, just a phenomenal document, because you start reading about this and you get something like here in table 1, how operational capabilities matrix. What the freak? You know, they don't even hide it anymore. So this is part of the matrix. This is the operational capabilities of the matrix. Well, hell, Neo, let's find out. Precipitation enhancement, flood lines of communications, reduce PGM reese effectiveness, decrease comfort level, morale, enhance friendly forces, precipitation avoidance, maintain and improve the line of communication, maintain visibility, maintain comfort level. Comfort level. Isn't it amazing how many people in the South, in Texas and Arkansas, Louisiana, and what have you, your comfort level has been diminished, which they know will in fact affect psychologically the morale of vast amounts of condensed humans in population centers. Storm enhancements, storm modifications. You see, this is bad guy, good guy. We're going to punish you over here, but if you do what we say, we'll kind of make it feel much better for you. Yeah. Okay, I can see I'm running out of time. I love this stuff. Boom, baby. Boom shakalaka. That's all I got to say. But anyway, so like all of us, like we didn't know this, but when you read it, and particularly now that we're living it, it's going, oh man, they actually did it. That's what I keep saying. They actually did it. You know, it's interesting, Blazing River. Yeah. Nixon he was anything but an environmentalist. It was not at all. Hence the term psychops. Exactly, Elderberry. There you go. Ron, right there behind you. Caroline in the Pines. How you doing? Haven't seen you before. Good. Yeah. The current administration doesn't even acknowledge it happening. That sucks. Geostorm. Very good point, Candy Jim. Yeah. Thank you, Marsha. I knew that's what I thought. I knew it was at 5 microns. Yeah. And the I think the virus is at 10, I think. And that's why if you got a mask that says, 50 or greater in the microns, you know, whatever, right? Teletubbies. Anyway. All right, folks. I'm going to exit here. I have a show tonight to prepare. If you want to check it out, please do. And over at artistfirst.com at 10 p.m. East Coast time. Thank you, Cajun Queen. Thank you so much, hon. 222 watching. There we go. Yeah, absolutely, Jenny. Well, if the card reading panel is available, we'll be here tomorrow. And let's see what the future holds, right? I don't know. I got a sneaky feeling that they ain't writing the script for our favor. That's why we got to speak favor, folks. We got to counter it, and then we have to overcome it. Inertia, once you have, what motion, You have inertia that continues it. If it's going to be stopped, it has to be met with an equal and overpowering opposite inertia. So there we go. Well, thank you, Austin Space. Much love to everyone. It is when the money started disappearing. Isn't it the truth? Y'all are so great. Thank you all. Y'all, it humbles me every time that we get together. And wow, I mean, it's, you know, it's good mental health every day that we're here. Well, thank you, Robert V. Appreciate that, buddy. Look forward to seeing you as well. Sarah, you take care, hon. We'll see you later. And again, everyone, thank you for listening, and be good to yourself, be of service to others, and give them a hug. I think we just need to break some of these things and just give people hugs. I know they want us in bio suits. Kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? All right. Much love to you.